Orphan girl rearranged the rancher's boots, then whispered, "Mama said he'd remember this pair." The screen door creaked. She didn't knock, just walked in slowly, dragging a sack that didn't look full enough to matter. She didn't speak either, only looked once at the man by the stove and then at the floor. Her boots were wet, so was the hem of her dress. The rancher didn't move from his stool. His coffee was steamed. "What are you doing?" She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed now on the boots lined by the door. 4 pairs, dust-covered, untouched since the flood. He rose. One hand stayed on the edge of the counter. I said, "What the hell are you doing in here?" She stepped over the threshold, knelt, lifted the 3rd pair gently like she was cradling a baby, then set it down again, but to the left. Heel angled, laces looped. She pressed a hand to the sole, closed her eyes. "Mama said he'd remember this pair," she whispered. The rancher's chest tightened. "Where'd you hear that?" She didn't look up. "I asked you something." She pointed at the boot. "That one was his favorite. He wore it when y'all rode to the ravine." He blinked. "What ravine?" "Where the creek forks under dead sycamore." His hand dropped from the counter. "You have no business knowing that." "Mama said he'd remember." Silence took the room in its teeth, only the stove ticking and the rain tapping against the tin. He moved toward her slowly. His boots scuffed the floor once, then again. "What's your name?" She stood. "Mama called me Fern." He studied her face. She looked like somebody who didn't blink when hit. "You lost?" "No." "Who sent you?" She looked at the fire. "She did." The rancher rubbed his jaw. His nails were black with soil. "I don't know your mama." "She knew you." He took the pair of boots she'd touched. "Hold them." Flipped one over, a chip near the heel, scab of old leather, and a tiny scar, slit from a branding knife. He remembered that day. He dropped it like it burned him. "Those were his." "Yes." "Where'd you get them?" "They were already here." His voice dropped. "Those boots haven't moved in 17 years. Fern's eyes didn't move. "17's how old I am." His breath caught. "Number no. She died. That girl died. She lived long enough to carry me." He turned to the door, reached for the handle, let his hand fall back to his side. "Who was she?" Fern stepped close. Too close. "You buried her in the orchard, under the tree that doesn't bloom." He stepped back. "No one told you that." "She told me." "There's no way." "She wrote it. For me." "Wrote what?" Fern reached into the sack, pulled out a bundle wrapped in waxed cloth, unrolled it on the table. A note, yellowed, folded tight, like it had been held too long, in too many palms. He didn't touch it. "Read it," she said. He didn't move. "I said read it." His hand trembled. He unfolded the paper. Only a few words, scrawled in ink gone faint. "He'll know the boots. He'll flinch." He did. God. She sat in the rocker like she belonged there. "I came to stay." "You can't." "I did." His voice rose. "You can't just come in here, and I didn't ask." He turned his back to her. "I looked at the fire. I buried her myself." She didn't ask for that either. He picked up the boots, cradled them against his chest. She was 15. That ain't old enough to be anyone's mama. She didn't have a choice. "No one told me." "She didn't trust you'd keep it." His knees weakened. He gripped the edge of the chair. "I was her brother. You were the sheriff's son." He sat, fast, like falling. "She used to write to him, even after. She shouldn't have. He burned them, didn't he?" He said nothing. "Didn't he?" He nodded once. She reached into her sack again. A matchbox this time, from a place called Harley's Grill. "She left this for me, too." He took it. I turned it over. "That's in Mill Valley, 5 towns over." She said that's where she ran first. His throat felt dry. She didn't say why. She said he followed her. The room went quiet again, this time darker. "Why'd she come back?" She said she had one thing left to do. He didn't ask. He didn't want to know. Fern stood. "I'm going to clean this place." "You ain't." "I am." "You don't belong here." "I do now." She crossed to the corner, lifted a rag, revealed an old tin box. She opened it. Photographs. A lock of hair. A baby tooth. He hadn't seen that box in years. She placed it on the table. "She left you this too." "I can't look at that." "Then don't." She stepped back toward the boots, lined them up again. This time, perfectly symmetrical, like they were waiting to walk. She said they always pointed east when he was scared. His voice cracked. Is that true? She never lied to me. The fire popped. The rain stopped. Silence again. You hungry? He asked. She nodded. I got beans. She nodded again. He stood. Went to the stove. Didn't look at her. Tomorrow you go see the sheriff. No. You have to. No. Why not? 'Cause I already did. He froze. What did he say? He didn't recognize me. But he will. She turned toward the door. He'll remember the boots, too. She stepped out onto the porch. The screen swung shut behind her. He looked down at the floor. One boot was missing. He didn't sleep. Not once. The girl hadn't come back in, but her voice kept circling the room like smoke. He sat at the table with the boots. She'd moved, just stared. By dawn, the coffee was cold and the house smelled like dirt and old paper. He turned the left boot in his hand. I felt the weight of it. The leather had softened over the years. But the scar, there it was, just under the arch. A deep cut sealed by time and oil. He remembered it now. His brother stepped wrong that summer, out near the cattle run, caught a wire buried in brush. Blood soaked through to the heel. He'd limped for 3 weeks. She couldn't have known that. No way. He set the boot down and stared at it like it had spoken. The girl hadn't made a sound outside. No footsteps, no cough, no shifting on the porch. But he knew she hadn't left. He opened the door. She was still sitting on the step, arms around her knees. You're up early. I didn't sleep. Are you cold? No. Want breakfast? She nodded. Go wash up. She stood, moved past him like she already lived there. He watched her walk to the basin. She didn't rush. Didn't ask where the towel was. Found it without a word. You took one of the boots. I put it back. You didn't ask. Didn't need to. He set eggs on the skillet. Bacon followed. He moved like a man trying to keep quiet inside himself. You said you were 17. I am. That would mean, yes. She had you after she ran. Before she died. She died in that barn. She gave birth first. He looked at her hands. She held them still on her lap, fingers twitching. Who raised you? She did. For a while. And after, she left things behind. That ain't raising. It was enough. He poured coffee into 2 mugs, set hers down. She told you about me. She told me not to be afraid of it. And me. She said you were a coward. He looked down, took a slow breath. Fair. She said you buried things instead of facing them. That's true. She said I'd know it by how you flinch. He took a bite of bacon. I didn't taste it. I flinched. I know. They ate in silence for a while. She wiped her mouth. Tell me about him. Who? Your brother. He rubbed his forehead. He was louder than me. Funnier. I liked horses more than people. Kept a knife under his mattress just in case. Just in case of what? No one ever asked. He wouldn't say. He didn't trust the house. Number not since he came back from sheriff's school. He became one. He was supposed to. Why didn't he? Ask your mama. She was 15. And he was 18. She didn't flinch. You know what happened? He asked. She told me enough. He stared out the window. She went missing one day. No note. Just gone. She wasn't missing. She was running. I didn't know that. You didn't. Ask. I thought she'd come back. She did. He nodded. In a box. Number in me. He looked at her again. Really looked. Same eyes. Same stubborn chin. She said who the father was. She shook her head. It wouldn't matter if she did. It matters to me. Why? Because he might still be out there. She didn't want him found. He stood. I walked to the back room. Came out holding a tin box. He set it on the table and opened it. Inside were letters. Faded. Torn. She wrote to me from Mill Valley. Said she was scared. She told me she never got a letter back. She didn't. I never mailed them. Why? Because I was scared too. Of who? He looked toward the hill. My father. Sheriff? Yeah. He knew. I think he did. He let it happen. He made it happen. She closed the box slowly. I think you should open the well. His eyes snapped back to hers. What? The well behind the barn. No one uses that. She said he threw something down there. What? She never said. He swallowed. It's sealed shut. She said you'd unseal it when you stopped lying to yourself. He laughed once, a tired sound. You really sound like her. I should. She made me memorize every word she left behind. They sat quiet again. Wind passed through the cracks. She said you loved him. I did. She said he didn't love himself. That was true, too. She said he tried to fix it with silence. She wasn't wrong. She stood. I walked to the window. Will you help me dig? Not today. When? When I can breathe again. She turned. Then I'll wait. He nodded. Don't wait too long. Something's rot while you're waiting. She stepped outside. He stayed at the table, turned the boot over in his hands again. He pressed his thumb into the scar under the sole. It still felt fresh. She came back inside around dusk, just as the fire started snapping louder than usual. The house smelled like soot and copper pipe. She walked in slowly, sat back in the same rocker. No noise, no explanation. He watched her from the kitchen doorway. You can't stay here. I already am. It ain't safe. For who? He didn't answer, just wiped his hands on the towel hanging from his belt. I mean it. I heard. He stepped into the room. The boards creaked under his boots. You got someplace else? No. Then I'll take you. I ain't going. You don't get to decide. I just did. His jaw flexed. He pointed toward the door. Go pack that sack of yours. It's already packed. Then go. She looked at the fire. You remember the old silo behind your mama's place. He froze. You used to hide there when you were little. Your brother carved your names in the wood. Real shallow, top left corner. He said nothing. She took me there once, said no one could hear you cry out there. Too much rust in the air. His hand dropped from his belt. She said what? She said that's where the sound went, into the metal. He sat, not hard, not soft, just sat. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. He stared at her across the room. You want me to believe she took you to that place? She took me to all her places. That silo ain't been touched in 20 years. She said it's where you buried your voice. He leaned forward. What else did she say? That your mama used to hang laundry in the rain just to feel the weight of it. He blinked. And that your brother's boots always pointed toward the creek, unless he was lying. He swallowed. She said you never told the truth unless it was to a horse. He rubbed his eyes. That sounds like her. I told you, she didn't lie to me. He nodded slowly. Are you hungry again? No. Do you want to sleep inside or out? She didn't answer. I asked you a question. She curled her knees under her chin. I'll sleep by the fire. You're not a stray. Didn't say I was. You're not family either. Yet here I am. He stood. You don't get to just claim space in someone else's house. You left the door open. I didn't know someone was coming through it. She did. He turned toward the window. The last light was gone, just the faint red behind the trees. I didn't ask for any of this. She didn't either. You don't know that. She said it when her breath was thin. What else did she say? She said not to trust anything that doesn't make a sound when it breaks. He looked back at her. Like me? Like memory. The fire popped. She didn't flinch. You ain't afraid of anything, are you? I'm afraid of forgetting. You think I forgot her? I think you buried her. He looked at the boots still sitting by the door. I didn't mean to. Still did. He turned. Look, I don't hate you being here. That ain't the point. Then what is? The point is you make everything come back. She stood. I crossed the room slowly, sat on the floor by the hearth. Maybe that's what she wanted. Maybe I didn't. Too late. He sat again, this time on the floor across from her. Why now? She said I'd know when it was time. And it was. The day I found the tin box. The one with the tooth. She said it was yours. He shook his head. Number that was his. She knew you'd say that. Are you saying she planned all this? She didn't plan. She trusted. Me, he rubbed his neck. She said that too. She said you'd try to send me off first, then ask what she said, then sit real still. I'm not predictable. She said you only pretend not to be. They were quiet again. The fire ate another log. You think staying here's gonna fix something? He asked. No. Then why stay? Because you're broken. And so am I. That ain't reason enough. It's the only one I got. He leaned back against the wall. You got a place to sleep? I'll make one. Blankets are in the cabinet. She didn't move. I said you could use them. I don't need much. That ain't the point. She stood finally, pulled the wool blanket from the shelf, spread it slowly across the floor beside the fire. You want the couch? He asked. No. You sure? She said the floor teaches you to stay humble. Did she say anything good? She said you had a kind voice when no one was looking. He snorted. That's not true. It is when you talk to horses. He looked down. Maybe. She lay down, turned away from him. Night, she said. Night. The wind picked up outside. The house creaked like something trying not to cry. He watched the fire. I watched her shoulders rise and fall slowly. He didn't tell her, but he'd already locked the door. She was staying. He heard the hooves before he saw the dust. Late morning. No letter, no warning. Just the weight of old law coming up the path. The rancher stood in the doorway, wiped his hands on his jeans, and didn't move. The sheriff dismounted without a word, still wore the same coat, same scuffed hat, same calm like a man who'd made peace with being feared. Got coffee? No. That ain't what I heard. The girl came out behind him barefoot. She didn't say anything, just leaned on the post and looked straight at the man who'd never looked back at her. The sheriff's gaze shifted. I froze. She doesn't belong here. She didn't ask you. The sheriff looked at the rancher. Is she yours? No. She acts like she is. She acts like she's got reasons. I don't care much for her reasons. She ain't here for your care. The girl still didn't move. What's your name? The sheriff asked. Fern. Is that your real name? It's the one I carry. Have you been told about me? Enough. The wind cut between them. Barn doors creaked in the distance. You hear me, girl? I did. You know who I am? You're the man who makes people disappear without moving your hands. The sheriff smirked. What did she tell you? She didn't have to. He took a slow step toward her. The rancher didn't stop him, but he didn't step aside either. You come from the east. She nodded. Who brought you? Myself. You walk? Some. Anyone see you on the way? Enough. You tell him where you were headed? No. The sheriff looked back at the rancher. She's dangerous. So are you. She's got lies stitched in her mouth. She got more truth than this whole county. I ain't here to argue. You never are. The sheriff pulled off his gloves. She said anything about her mama? She said more than you ever did. The sheriff's jaw moved once. She said who the father was. She said he carried a badge and forgot what love felt like. The silence cracked something invisible. The girl blinked. Once. I want her gone, the sheriff said. You don't own this land. I own everything that doesn't fight back. She's not fighting. Not yet. The girl spoke. Did you love her? He turned his face toward her. Who? You know who. He didn't answer. She waited, the girl said. No, she didn't. She did, until her lungs gave out. She left. She ran. Same thing. No. The wind pushed harder. You think you know something? He asked. I know you shook her and said she'd ruin everything. You calling me a liar? I'm saying I heard her breath when she said it. The sheriff stepped up to her, closer than comfort. You don't know what kind of men raised this land. I know one buried her name with the pigs. You better watch your tongue. Why? You're afraid I'll say it out loud. He looked at the rancher. You told her. I didn't have to. You let her sleep under your roof. She's not yours to chase. She's got no place here. She found one. The girl's voice cut again. You remember the barn? What barn? The one with the red rope. His eyes narrowed. That was long gone. She said the blood never dried. He stepped back. Not far. Just enough. You're not supposed to be here. She said I'd show up when the sky turned quiet. He stared at the sky. It was still. Pale. You should have stayed hidden. I'm not good at hiding. He turned, spat on the ground. She means trouble. Maybe trouble's what we need, the rancher said. You want to burn the whole damn county down? Maybe it's already smoldering. The sheriff took a long breath. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be here. If she's still here, I'll take her myself. She won't go quiet. I don't care how she goes. The girl stepped forward. I'll be waiting. He paused at the stirrup. You think you scare me? Number I think I remind you. He mounted, pulled the reins. She ain't got your blood, he said. No, the rancher replied. She's got her mama's. The horse trotted off. Dust rose behind him. The girl sat on the step. You sure you want this? He asked. No. Then why stay? Because I'm tired of hiding what happened. He sat beside her. I didn't know she was pregnant. She knew you didn't. He nodded. I ain't strong enough to bury another thing. You won't have to. They stared at the horizon. The dust hadn't settled yet. He woke before light. The house was too quiet. The fire had died, and the girl was gone from the floor. He stepped into his boots, rubbed his eyes, and walked to the front door. I opened it. Cold air, damp wood. No sign of her. He turned back toward the hearth. Then I froze. The boots were gone. All 4 pairs. Even his brother's. He checked the corner where she'd rearranged them. The line of dust was clean. Empty. His voice cracked the silence. Fern? No answer. Girl, you hear me? The floor groaned upstairs. Her footsteps. Slow. She came down, braid loose, arms folded. Where are the boots? She shrugged. I asked you something. I didn't move them. They didn't walk off on their own. Maybe they did. He stared at her. Where'd you put them? I didn't. Have you been to the cellar? No. You sure? Why would I go down there? He stepped forward, took a breath. You smell like dust. So do you. His eyes locked on hers, then shifted to her hands, fingertips dark, gray under the nails. Show me your palms. She held them out. No shame. Are you digging in the night? No. Are you lying? No. Then who took 'em? She walked past him, toward the back wall. Your brother liked hiding things. He followed her. You remember where? Behind the stairs, under the board with the splintered edge. That's too specific. She showed me once. Said don't touch unless it's time. His boots scraped the floor as he knelt, reached under the step. It was still there, that weak spot in the wood. He pulled at it. The plank lifted with a dry groan. He stared down. It wasn't boots. A cloth bundle, wrapped tight, stained in the corners. He didn't speak. She knelt beside him. Open it. He unfolded the cloth slowly. Inside, a child's drawing. Stick figures, 4 of them, one smaller, one with a badge. A red circle drawn around the feet of the smallest one, and a rusted badge beside it. He picked it up, turned it in his hand. Sheriff's seal, but not the current one. Older, faint. That was his, he said. I know. How'd it get here? You tell me. He never wore this home. He didn't get the chance. He looked at the drawing again. She made this? She kept it in the quilt lining. Does she ever say what it meant? She said it was a map. Held the paper up to the light. No roads. Number just pain. He folded it back. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? Remember. He shook his head. I remember too much already. Then dig. He stared into the dark under the step. This ain't about boots, is it? No. It's about him. And her. He sat down on the floor, breathing hard. You think this means something to him? He knows it's here. You sure? He's scared of it. The badge scraped against his palm. He came out here for you. He came for what I brought with me. He looked at her. Are you sure you're ready for what that means? I was born into it. He stood. You didn't take the boots. I put one back. Where? She walked to the stove, lifted the lid off the wood bin. Inside, sitting like an offering, was one boot. The right one, his brother's. He reached in, lifted it out. The scar on the sole was gone. What the hell? She stepped closer. You're looking at the wrong thing. What do you mean? Look inside. He turned the boot, reached in with his fingers, pulled out a crumpled piece of cloth, a ribbon, blue, frayed at one end. He recognized it. That same one tied to her braid the day she vanished. This was hers. She tied it to his wrist when she died. His knees gave way. He sat hard. She was still breathing when they found her. Barely. She tried to speak. No one listened. He closed his hand around the ribbon. I should have gone with him that day. She said that too. I should have asked more. She left what she could. He looked up at her. She left you. I was the only thing she could carry. He leaned his head against the wall. You believe in curses. I believe in memory. He stood again. Cellar? She nodded. He grabbed the lantern, lit it. They opened the trapdoor. The air was wet. She climbed down first. He followed. The stone walls sweated. She walked to the far end, pointed to the ground. Here. He dropped to his knees, dug with his bare hands. After minutes, his fingers hit wood. A small box. He lifted it out, unlatched it. Inside, another badge. Same as before, clean, untouched, another ribbon, red this time, and a note, folded small. He opened it. Only 4 words. He wore mine first. He looked at her. She wrote this. She bled it. He held the badge. Why, too? She said he took what wasn't his. His voice dropped. She meant the title. She meant everything. He stood slowly. The cellar air pressed against his lungs. I can't hold all this. You're not supposed to. He handed her the badge. She held it like it burned. Are you ready? He asked. Yes. He looked at the note again. Then tomorrow we go to the barn. He stepped out before dawn and saw it swinging on the rail. It was hers, the quilt, faded blue, sun-bit in the corners, fraying on the bottom edge, the one his mama used to wrap around her shoulders after dark, the one she folded by hand even after her hands stopped working right. He hadn't seen it in 20 years, maybe more. She was standing beside it, barefoot, humming low like she wasn't trying to be heard. You touch that? He asked. She didn't stop stitching. I found it in the trunk near your mother's bed. You went into her room. It's where she left the thread. He stepped closer. You shouldn't go in there. She told me I could. His chest tightened. She's been dead for 10 years. Still tell me. She cut the thread with her teeth and pressed her fingers over a fresh square. The stitch was tight, pale red cloth, wrinkled, stiff like it came from something buried. He leaned in. What's that one? You know. I'm asking. She didn't look up. It's his shirt. Whose? Your brother. His voice dropped. You dug it out? She left it on the floorboard, under her side of the bed. He backed up. That floor's sealed. Not anymore. She picked up another scrap. Yellow, softer. That one's yours. He swallowed. How do you know? She labeled them. Labeled what? Every square. Tiny thread, same color, under the corner. She flipped one back. Sure enough, a name in her mother's handwriting, faded but still clear. She kept stitching. You're not afraid of any of this, are you? Not anymore. He crossed his arms. Quilt won't fix it. She didn't fix it. She made it to remember. She should have burned it. She said fire forgets. Thread doesn't. He stared at the face coming through the patch. A crude outline, but he saw it. The jaw. The tilt of the eyes. His brother, years ago, before the fights, before the silence. I can't look at that. Then don't. He turned, stepped off the porch. Where are you going? Barn. She didn't stop sewing. He walked slowly, past the trough, past the place where they buried the dog, past the rock he'd marked once when they were boys. Everything looked smaller now, like grief shrinks the land. He stepped inside the barn. The air smelled like cedar and rot. He found the old chair in the corner. Saturday. She came in after him, holding the quilt, dragged it behind her like a flag. You follow everyone like this? Just you. Why? Because you forget louder than most. She held the quilt up. You want me to hang it here? No. You sure? I said no. She hung it anyway, on the inside rail. The barn is filled with blue, red, and brown. He looked up. Why him first? He died first. That ain't how. This works. It is for me. He stood. She told you to bring this. She told me to finish it. You think finishing a quilt's gonna do something. She thought remembering would. She was wrong. Number you were. He stepped close. You don't know what this place did to her. She told me. She didn't know half of it. She knew enough to run. He went quiet. She touched the quilt. She said you used to cry in your sleep when he didn't come home. He flinched. She said you stopped after she disappeared. She wasn't supposed to leave. She didn't want to die here. She did anyway. She held the needle still. She asked me to bring her voice back. He pointed to the quilt. This ain't her voice. It's the only one we got left. He walked to the door, leaned on the frame. You know what that rail's for? No. It's where the mare gave birth, where I held his hand when he died, where I watched my father clean his badge and say nothing. She didn't move. He faced her. You hang that quilt here, you better be ready for what comes with it. I am. You sure? She was ready for years. I'm just catching up. He let out a long breath. What happens when the sheriff sees it? He'll remember what he did. And maybe that's enough. He stepped toward the quilt, touched the edge. His finger brushed a square he didn't recognize, dark blue, speckled with ash. What's this one? She said it was the night sky from the barn roof. She never climbed that roof. She did once, the night she bled. He stepped back, like the quilt had pushed him. You stitch all this from memory? From hers. And after you're done, I bury it. Where? In the well. He blinked. That's where they dumped the first badge. I know. You think this ends with thread and fabric. I think it starts there. He touched the square with his name on it. She loves me? She never stopped. He sat on the floor, arms wrapped around his knees. I did everything wrong. She knew. She forgives me. She didn't have to. She sat beside him, a quilt hanging above like it could catch the things falling between them. He looked at the patch with his brother's face. It didn't smile, but it stayed. He was sitting on the back steps when she came out, holding the letter. Didn't say a word at first, just held it in both hands like it weighed more than it looked. The wind had died. The quilt still hung in the barn, still swaying from nothing. She stepped down, stood in front of him. What's that? He asked. She didn't answer. Girl, what is it? She held it out. A folded paper. Thin. Old. Edges curled. He took it slow. No writing on the outside. He opened it. Still blank. Front, back, creased down the middle. Not a mark. It's empty. No, it's not. There's nothing on it. Mama said you'd read it anyway. He looked up. Does she say that exact? She said he doesn't need ink to hear what he already knows. His fingers tightened on the fold. Are you trying to scare me? No. You think this is some kind of trick. She said the letter would bleed when the time was right. He laughed once, flat. It's paper. You are still reading it. He stared down again. The creases, the smudge on the edge, the way it smelled faintly like soap and ash. You sure this was hers? She wrote it after the well. He folded it shut. She never got out of that well. She did. For a while. She was near dead. She still had something to say. His voice dropped. And you thought I could handle that? She did. He stood, stepped away. You don't know what this place did to her. She left you this. I left her first. She knew. He turned. She knows I watched him ride away with her and said nothing. She said your silence hurt worse than the rope. He flinched. You think I'm proud of that? No. You think I was trying to protect him? You were trying to protect yourself. He walked toward the edge of the yard. He kept the letter in his hand. Didn't look at it. Just hold it. She followed. She said you weren't bad. Then she didn't know me. She knew everything. He stopped at the gate. I was 19. I didn't know what to do. She didn't ask you to fix it. I didn't think she'd keep the baby. She didn't ask you to believe in her. I thought she hated me. She didn't. He turned around. Why leave this? Why now? She said you'd finally be listening. He opened the letter again. Still blank. Still screaming. He whispered. She was cold in that well. She was warm before he found her. He shut his eyes. I saw the bruise on her collarbone. You know that? She had more than one. I didn't do anything. She knew. I told myself I'd go to town, find her, bring her back. You didn't. I told myself she ran because of me. She ran because of him. He dropped to his knees in the dirt. I loved her. She loved you too. I didn't deserve it. She knew that too. He looked up at the porch, at the window his mama used to stare out from. She used to sing. I remember. You weren't born yet. She sang to me anyway. He folded the letter again, tighter this time. What do I do with it? Keep it. I don't deserve it. She said it belongs to you. He stood slow. You think if I bury it, she'll rest? No. Then what? You read it again tomorrow. Why? It changes. It's blank. So are you sometimes. He slid it into his pocket. I don't want to be forgiven. She didn't ask you to be. He stepped past her. I walked toward the barn. The quilt still hung. The new square was stitched. The face looked more like him now, less like his brother. She followed him. He stopped under the rail. Did she say anything else? Yes. What? She said, when he folds it, tell him I forgive his silence, but not his forgetting. His hands shook. She said that? She whispered it to the quilt. He dropped onto the hay. What else does she say? She said you'd try to die in small ways before facing it. I already did. Number, this is the first time you're breathing honestly. He pulled the letter out again. I opened it. Still blank. Still loud. She sat beside him. Have you heard of it yet? Yeah. What's it say? She said she waited. She did. She said she named the baby after my mama. She did. He looked at her. That's why you never said it. You weren't ready to hear it. He nodded. I am now. She rested her head on his shoulder. They sat under the quilt in the barn that had heard too much, and for the first time he didn't speak. He read. The house creaked around midnight, not like settling wood, not like wind, something deeper. He woke to the sound of it, low, cracking, like something trying to breathe through the floor. He swung his legs down, stood barefoot. The floor was warm, not just near the stove, all of it. He stepped slow. The girl was already sitting by the hearth, knees pulled to her chest, eyes fixed on the floorboards. You smell it? She asked. He nodded. Smoke. Not from the fire, she said. He looked down, steam rising between the seams of the planks, a faint orange flicker underfoot. What the hell's burning? She pointed toward the back wall. Pipe runs beneath the house. I know that. It's glowing. He moved fast, opened the trap door to the cellar. The heat hit him like a breath. Foul, wet, familiar. He climbed down. She stayed at the top, watched. At the far wall, light pulsed through the dirt. Red, unnatural, the pipe, meant to bring water from the old well, dead for years, now alive. He knelt beside it, touched the edge. Hot. Something's wrong. No, she said. Something's waking up. He turned. I looked up at her. You do this? No. Then what is it? She didn't move. They buried the wrong boy. He blinked. What? You heard me. He stood. That doesn't make sense. It does if you stop pretending. He grabbed the lantern, lit it. The glow fought with the red coming from below. You think it's gas? He asked. She shook her head. No. Then what? Memory. That ain't real. It is if it burns. He kicked at the pipe. Sparks spit out. Tell me what you know. They switched names, she said. Who? Your brother, the sheriff's boy. He froze. That's not possible. They were young. The sheriff thought no one would notice. Your brother wasn't his. His boy was weak, sickly, couldn't hold a badge. He gripped the wall. You're saying he swapped blood, swapped boots, made yours the scapegoat? No. She told me. Said your brother was the one with the badge, not the one they buried. He looked down at the pipe. You're saying my brother's alive? She nodded. And the one in the ground was never yours. His head spun. That's crazy. She said truth glows when it's been buried too long. He stared at the pulsing heat beneath his feet. What do I do? Dig. He turned back toward the stairs. She says where? The well. That thing's sealed. Then unseal it. He climbed back up, slammed the trap shut. The floor still glowed beneath them. She stood. I told you truth burns. He walked to the window, looked out toward the edge of the land. The well was out there, shrouded in dark. Have you ever seen a man come back from a lie? Yes. What's it look like? Like fire in places that should be cold. He grabbed his coat. You coming? She nodded. They walked outside together. The dirt was warm. The wind died. The well sat crooked, lid half buried in vines and dust. He pulled at the cover. It groaned and gave way. The smell rose up thick, whetstone and something older. He shined the lantern down. I saw nothing, just dark. What am I looking for? He asked. Listen. He held still. Then he heard it. Drip, drip, drip. Water, or something like it. Throw the badge down, she said. He reached into his pocket. The rusted one, the one from the cellar. Why? Because it never belonged to him. He dropped it. It didn't clatter, just vanished. The ground shifted beneath them. Heat again, but deeper now. She stepped back. The wind kicked up. The barn door slammed behind them. You feel that? She asked. Yeah. You ready? No. Still gotta do it. He dropped to his knees, started digging near the edge. The soil was loose, like it wanted to give. He hit something hard after a few minutes. Wood. Old box. Not the one from the cellar. This one had initials carved into it. T.H. He stared. That's not him. No, she said. It's the other boy. He pried it open. Inside, a lock of hair, a strip of cloth, and a note. Faded. Ink blurred by time. He unfolded it. Only a few words. This isn't him. Don't tell the boy. His hand shook. She was talking to my mother. She knew. He looked up at her. She kept quiet to protect me. She didn't want the sheriff to take you too. He stood. You sure? She said if you ever found this, you'd know why your brother never came back. He stared down into the well again. The glow was gone. Just black now. The floorboards back in the house had stopped creaking. You think it's over? He asked. She shook her head. Number now it starts. What does? The reckoning. He looked out over the hills. The sheriff's house was just past the ridge. He folded the note, put it in his chest pocket. Have you ever seen a man break slow? Yes. What's it look like? Like you, right now. He didn't answer, just turned toward the house and walked. The smoke started before sunrise. He smelled it in his sleep. Sharp, metallic, not chimney smoke, not wood. He shot up, heart kicking. Fern, I'm here. She stood in the doorway, barefoot, holding the bent badge in her hand. Where's it coming from? He asked. She pointed toward the barn. He ran. The air thickened halfway there. Smoke rolled low across the yard, soft as fog, but wrong in color. The barn wasn't on fire, but something inside was. He pushed the doors open. Ash filled the air like snow. The quilt was gone. No flame, just the remains of flame. A burn too clean, too precise. She stepped in behind him. Where was it? The rail. Who did it? No one, she said. It lit itself. That ain't possible. It is when it remembers. He stared at the scorched beam, the blackened hooks. They left us nothing. She held up the badge. It was bent, half melted. How'd that get here? Found it in the ash pile, right beneath where your brother's square used to hang. He took it. It was even cold. That's not mine. No. It's his. She nodded. The front door creaked back at the house. He turned. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Then 3 knocks. He froze. She said he'd knock when he knew. He walked back, chest tight, badge still hot in his palm. The sheriff stood on the porch. Hats off. Eyes red. You all right? He asked. You knock now. I figured it was time. The girl stood behind him. You smell the fire? She asked. I do. You bring it? No. But you knew it was coming? Yes. The rancher stepped between them. What do you want? Truth. You burned the quilt? No. Then why show up now? Because it's ash now, and I need to see what's left. The girl stepped forward. You remember this? She held out the badge. He didn't take it. I remember when it was mine. Not yours, she said. Your boy's. No? She held it higher. It melted in. His guilt. He reached for it. She pulled back. You want it? He nodded. Then say it. He looked at the rancher. I didn't mean for it to go how it did. That ain't what she asked. The sheriff stared at the badge. I switched 'em. The wind stopped. He said it again. I switched the boys. The rancher's knees nearly buckled. You're saying my brother wasn't yours. You took him. I kept him. The girl's voice cut in. Why? Because he was mine by blood. And the other one, he was weak. Wouldn't have carried the name. You let your own boy die, the rancher said. I let him fade. That's different. You buried him in my brother's name. Yes. He turned to the girl. And you... She stepped closer. I was born in a lie. That's why I burn differently. The sheriff's voice shook. She told me not to tell. Said you'd hate me more than him. I already do, the rancher said. The sheriff looked down. I didn't think she'd carry the child. She did, the girl whispered, and now she carries all of us. The sheriff finally took the badge. It blistered his skin. She said it'd burn, she added. He looked at the rancher. You want the land? No. The house? No. Then what? He pointed toward the barn. I want the truth stitched back. It's ash now. She can sew from ash. The girl nodded. I remember every square. The sheriff turned toward the road. Then do what you came to do. We did, she said. Now it's your turn. He didn't move. What's left for me? She said nothing. He stepped off the porch, left the badge on the rail, walked to his horse, didn't mount, just stood. The wind picked up. The barn moaned. The rancher looked at the girl. You all right? She nodded. You? No. She walked to the badge. I touched it once. Still hot. Let it cool. He sat on the porch. She sat beside him. The ash danced in the air. Nothing burned, but everything smoldered. She laid the new quilt across the table slowly. No colors left, just ash grays and smoke browns, stitched with thread made from scorched fabric and silence. He stood with his arms folded, watching like he didn't want to be part of it. Where'd you get that square? He asked. She didn't look up. It was folded into the hem, hidden under the first layer. That ain't one I remember. You weren't supposed to. She smoothed it flat. Bottom corner, left side, different thread, sharper, neater. He leaned in. What's that saying? You already know. I want to hear you say it. She touched it gently. The stitch was tight, deliberate. Sheriff made me choose. He blinked. Who wrote it? Your brother. That's not his handwriting, it is. From when he was scared. He took a step back. You telling me he sewed that? She taught him, in the barn, when they were hiding from the house. He shook his head. Number he wouldn't have, he did. I don't believe you. She said the needle kept his hands from shaking. He stared at the name beside the words. A single initial, C. You sure that's not the sheriff's? No. He made him write that. Number he made him live it. He pulled out a chair. Sat slow. When? After she told him she was leaving. After she told him who the baby was. He looked away. She said he cried like he hadn't since the creek. He closed his eyes. She said he wanted to go with her. Said he'd run. But the sheriff found out. His jaw tightened. What did he do? She didn't say, but your brother stopped talking for 3 weeks after. He stood again. Paced once. I should have known. You weren't supposed to. I lived in the same house. She said he wasn't the same after that. Quiet. Cold. He wouldn't ride anymore. That's when he gave me his boots. She said he said they didn't fit right anymore. He looked at the quilt again. Why would he stitch that? Because it was the only way he could say it without it being taken. His hands trembled. She said your mama found it and hid it. Where? In the lining of her prayer shawl. She never prayed again. She did. Quiet, needle in hand, every night. He sat again. Sheriff made me choose. He whispered. Choose what? She said he had to name which boy got the badge. He went pale. He chose himself. Number he chose the other. Silence hit hard. She said that's why he couldn't look at you after. He blinked slowly. I thought he hated me. He didn't. He was mourning you. He rubbed his face with both hands. I never asked. She said he waited every night for you two. I didn't know how. She said that too. He looked up at her. You blame me? No. Why not? Because you didn't have the power. I still could have said something. She said silence was safer than truth back then. Was it? No. His voice cracked. I used to think he was stronger than me. He was, just not in ways anyone rewarded. He touched the square again. Why now? She said the truth would finish itself when you were ready. And if I wasn't, she said you'd break anyway. He chuckled under his breath. Guess she was right. She folded the quilt. Now you know. Know what? What the sheriff took from both of you. He looked out the window. The man who raised me, let me believe my brother was weak. Let me think he gave up. She said he gave everything. Why didn't she tell me? She tried. You didn't hear her. He nodded. That's true. She placed the folded quilt in front of him. Now you carry it. He stared at the fabric. You done sewing? No. What's left? Your square. He looked at her. I don't deserve one. That's not how quilts work. He didn't move. What's it gonna say? You tell me. He thought for a moment, then whispered, "I stayed silent too long." She nodded. "That'll fit just right." She walked toward the door, stopped before stepping out. "You coming?" "Where?" "To the well." He stood. "I thought we already opened it." Number, not the lid, the story. He followed. Ash still floated in the air like a memory refusing to settle. She didn't knock on his door that morning, just stood in the yard, braid still damp, dress caught in the wind. He came out quiet, saw her looking toward the trees. "You ready?" she asked. "No." "Doesn't matter." They walked without words, past the barn, past the fence line, past the place the fire had touched but not claimed. He carried nothing. She held a single square of cloth in her hand. The well stood where it always had, crooked, low, covered in a lid that had warped with time. She stopped a few feet from it. "You sure it's still down there?" he asked. "No." "Then why now?" "Because it never stopped waiting." He stepped closer, knelt, fingers on the wood. "It's heavier than it used to be." "That's because it's full now." "Full of what?" "Memory." He pried the lid loose. The nails cracked, splinters flying. The cover groaned like something exhaling after a long hold. The smell rose first. Old earth, damp rot, iron. She didn't flinch. He lifted the lantern, lowered it down. The light hit something almost immediately. Leather, boots. "I don't believe it." "You do." He leaned in. The boots were side by side, laces tied, still muddy. Then bone, the edge of a shin, white, still. "No coffin." "No." Why bury him like that? They didn't want him remembered. He gripped the edge of the stone. "That's his size." "Yes. I gave those boots away." "You gave them back." His voice dropped. "There's more." He leaned in further, another shape under the boots. A cloth bundle, faded red. He pulled it up, unwrap it slowly. Inside, a photo. 2 boys, one tall, one smiling, one wearing a badge. That was the last one she kept. He blinked. I was 12. She was 17. His hands shook. "I don't remember this day." She did. The cloth held something else. A second badge. Untouched, shiny, almost new. "This is real." "Yes." "Then who's in the ground?" "No one worth naming." He looked at the photo. Again. Then at the boots. Then at the bones. "Why didn't they tell me?" "Because they needed you quiet." "I was." "Too quiet." He looked up. "She said this would break me." "It's not done yet." "What else is down there?" "Pull it up." He reached again. Another cloth. Tighter this time. He lifted it. Inside, a book. Ledger-sized, water-stained, but still legible. Names, dates, initials. He flipped to the last page. One name, Heron, and under it, silenced. He closed it. "Have you ever thought about burning this whole place down?" "Every day." He stood, looked out across the field. "This is why he came back yesterday." "Yes." He knew the lid was loose, and he knew you were ready to lift it. He dropped the ledger at his feet. "I can't bury him again." "You're not supposed to." "What then?" "Say his name." "I don't remember it." "You do." He looked back into the dark, said nothing. Then, "Caleb." The word cracked in his throat. She nodded. "Now he hears you." He dropped to his knees, pressed his hand to the stone edge. "I'm sorry I let you stay down here." She stepped beside him. "He knew you'd come." "I waited too long." "He said that's what time was for." He looked up at her. "You talk like you've been here before." "I was born from this well." He smiled, just barely. "I believe that now." She handed him the cloth square. It had a single word stitched in the corner. "Brother." He pressed it to his chest. "You want to close it back up?" she asked. "No." "Then we leave it open?" "For now." They walked away slowly. The well stood behind them. Open, exposed, breathing again. The sheriff didn't scream when he fell, just landed wrong. Spine first. His boot scraped the stone. Then silence. They stared down into the well. He wasn't moving. The lantern still swung from the rope, casting a slow yellow arc over his body. "You pushed him?" the rancher asked. She didn't answer. "I'm asking you straight." He stepped too close. "He fell." "Maybe." "You didn't flinch." "I didn't need to." He looked at her, Her arms were folded, eyes steady, face unreadable. You were waiting for that. I was waiting for silence. He stared down again. Still breathing? Does it matter? He stepped back. What if someone asks? They won't. And if they do, you'll tell the truth. He looked at her again. What truth? That he climbed into a grave he dug himself. She turned. I walked back toward the house. He stayed a minute longer, watching the stillness below, then followed her. She didn't say another word until they reached the porch. She picked up the quilt, folded clean, untouched by the ash, and wrapped it over her shoulders. Cold? He asked. No. Are you hungry? No. You gonna talk? I already said what mattered. He sat on the steps. The wind stirred the dust again. Same sound as always. The place feels quieter. It is. Do you feel better? No. Do you feel anything? I feel done. He nodded slowly. Did you cry at all? No. Why not? Crying for what you lose. And I didn't lose anything. He looked at her. You lost a mama. I carried her. You lost a name. I earned a better one. You lost a childhood. She didn't answer. I'm saying it matters. It happened, that's all. He rubbed his hands together. You ever going to tell someone? No, not ever. Wouldn't change what already burned. He watched the edge of the field. You think the sheriff ever knew what it meant to carry shame? He didn't carry it. He planted it in other people. They sat in silence again. She unwrapped the quilt, folded it in her lap, ran her hand along one seam. Are you keeping that? He asked. No. Are you giving it back to her? She never asked for it. He waited. I'm putting it in the well, she said. Tonight? Before light. You want help? No. She stood. I'll go with you. She turned back. I said no. He didn't argue. She walked into the dark, quilt under her arm, boots barely touched the ground. He stayed on the steps. I watched the distance between them grow smaller. He'd never seen someone so young walk like that, like she was older than the dirt beneath her. She didn't look back. She didn't hesitate at the well. She stood over it, pulled the lid the rest of the way open. I looked down. No shaking hands, no whisper. She held the quilt with both arms and lowered it in. Slow, letting the weight of it drop with gravity, not grief. It landed quiet. No echo. No flame. She stepped back. Waited. The wind didn't pick up. The sky didn't change. No voice rose from below. And she didn't cry. She turned, walked back past the barn, past the cellar, past the place where her name had once been hidden in a ledger, now burned. He met her at the porch. You done? He asked. Yes. Feel different? No. She sat beside him. The sky was going pale now. The sun's coming. It always does. Are you tired? No. Want to sleep? No. He reached over, placed his hand on hers. She didn't pull away. They sat like that, still. The house behind them held nothing but dust and breath. The well behind them held bones, cloth, and a man who used to rule the silence. Now it was quiet, really quiet. She looked down the road. Someone else will come. Let them. They'll ask. They always do. What will you say? I'll say she didn't cry. And he meant it.